Hey guys, welcome. Hey Daniel, how are you? Jason, hi. Angelo, hey man. Um, Tonight's stream is going to be the final chapter of this collaboration between José Rosales and I. We've been creating together this alien-looking creature. The idea is to, give me a second. The idea is to create like this character from scratch. We divided the character into different parts. You can actually see on the bottom right corner how we actually divided the character. Hey, hello. Hey, Nick. Welcome. So right here, it's like a map of how we actually divided the character. I started by doing the top of the head and the upper part of the torso and the legs, and Jose did the rest, which is the arms, the lower part of the jaw and the torso. And well, it's almost done. I'm sorry. So besides some minor details, I'm going to add to this part, which is like what I actually started doing in the last stream. This part. I'm gonna start adding all the details, and I'm going to change the head because actually this head is not working, or I'm not really comfortable with the design I did, neither with the antenna. So I'm gonna first add details to the torso and then redesign the head completely. Hey Udom, hi. El Zahid, welcome. Welcome guys. So this is going to be a shorter stream than my usual streams that I tend to be like 3 to 4 hours. This I hope it's gonna be like to the most 2 hours, and that's the main idea behind it. So right now I'm going to isolate this part, and I'm going to start adding details. I mean, most of the design has already been done in the last stream, and I actually really like the design of it. I mean, it works. Aside from the head, which at the beginning I wasn't. I mean, it changed a lot between streams. So between the first stream and this one, the head has changed like 3 times. So I hope this is going to be like the last time that I actually change the head. And give me a second. Hey, Sculptor Dad, how are you? Good evening. Hey, Daniel, bienvenido. Great, great. I was just telling everyone that the design is almost finished. I'm going to add all the details to the lower part that I did last time, and I'm going to redesign again the head because I'm not comfortable with the design I did, and it's gonna be like hopefully the last stream of this collaboration, and then I mean we'll keep doing the collaborations, but we'll start um, another character. So hopefully this is going to be the last stream of this character. Hey David, sí, ya. Hoy queda ya por fin el Red Wax. Guess who? Thanks. Yeah, it's been literally a team effort of Jose and I. We divided the character into different parts, you actually can see the map of how we divided the character right here, and it's not gonna take that much of this streaming time, because I mean the design is almost finished. It's just adding some minor details. So I'm going to tackle right now, which is the tail. At the end of the last stream, thanks to all your feedback, we decided that this is going to be like some insect alien-looking bounty hunter, and since it has like a lot of traits of a praying mantis, the idea is that right here in the back, I'm going to add some heads, like like trophies or maybe a meal for later. Carlos, dime, claro. Máquina en cuanto a equipo, pues principalmente ZBrush no requiere unas especificaciones muy fuertes. Principalmente lo único que recomendaría es tener una buena RAM. A partir de 32 sería lo mejor, porque es lo que más utiliza el ZBrush en cuanto a eso. Uh, guess who? Are you going to texture it later? I haven't decided that with Jose yet. Maybe later. It could be an option. I mean, yeah, it could be a nice option to actually texture the entire character. So far, it's gonna be like only the high poly, but I'm gonna discuss that with Jose for the next stream maybe. Hey, Rodrigo, hola, ¿cómo estás? Zrehit? I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. KG, it's easier, right? Hello. Jaramillo, ¿cómo estás? Hola desde México. Sure, no problem. So I'm going to isolate the bottom part, and in the last stream I actually created these from C-spheres. What I like from C-spheres is that I actually already have like polygroups of the legs and the tail, all that separated. What I'm going to do right now, I'm gonna zero image this, so I will be able to add more details. So I hope the computer doesn't crash or anything like that. Hey Zen, no, we've been creating this character for, I believe it's been like 6 streams right now, 6 videos. We've been switching the character between Jose and I. We started like from scratch, and we divided the character into like different parts of the body. For example, the head, or part of the head was like my sculpture, and Jose did the arms, and I did the legs. So it's called Exquisite Cadaver. This is like literally like a collaboration between Jose and I. So it's gonna be our character. Sí, claro, una compu de gamer sirve sin problemas. De hecho, la que yo tengo ahorita tiene una 1080, entonces me sirve perfectamente para 3D y para jugar sin problemas. So I duplicated this part, which is the one I um, did the zero measure. What I'm going to do right now is hide everything besides this and the old mesh, which is this one, which is Dynamesh. So I mean, I'm not gonna retopologize everything, but I really like to have a, a topology topology that allows me to sculpt more detail. So that's why I actually did this remeasure. It's not entirely necessary, but I really like doing that. It's okay, Zen. It's been really fun creating this character. I actually didn't imagine that the hardest part was gonna be the head, because literally it's been like at least 3 iterations of the head. But I'm pretty certain this is going to be like the last one. So I already invested too much time in the head. So I'm going to project the detail from the high poly to menu mesh with project all. Now I have this. I had this before. Now this one. I'm gonna subdivide and again project all. And again, this is before and after. So I'm starting to gain all the details from the Dynamesh um, concept sculpture from before. Rodrigo, últimamente mi computadora se apaga durante los renders. Me parece que es porque se calienta mucho. ¿Te ha pasado a ti? No me ha pasado a mí, pero sí tiene sentido que justamente porque se calienta demasiado. Si está overclockeada, podría ser eso. O sea que igual le podrías bajar un poco o checar justamente si los ventiladores están funcionando bien. So I'm gonna subdivide again, project all. Now each time I do like this project all takes a little more time to process all the information, since there are considerably a bigger quantity of polygons in the mesh. So I think maybe 2 more subdivisions will do. Maybe 1. Then, do you prefer turning on perspective when you do an organic sculpt? Um, at the beginning, I start without perspective. Usually, when I start with symmetry on and without perspective, so I have like this orthogonal view of the mesh. However, at the end, when I start adding the details and I deactivate the symmetry, I tend to work with the perspective on, which at the end, um, it doesn't matter if you're going to render this in Keyshot or 3ds Max, Maya, or Blender. Everything has perspective, so it's a good idea to work at the end with some perspective on it. So I'm going to save this just in case it crashes. And I think, let me see if I have all the details from the Dynamesh sculpt. I mean, this is the Dynamesh, and this is the new zero-meshed geometry. So I think it pretty much has all the detail. I don't need to make like another project all. Even the message, the little message I leave to Jose, it's been like transferred. So now I'm going to start sculpting. Since I actually activated to keep the polygroups while doing the zero measure operation, right here, keep groups, I still have the polygroups that I created while doing the sea spheres. So I'm going to start working on the tail. I already have like the mesh, like the main form decided, so it's gonna be easier. I'll just start adding details. So the idea is like, even though it's supposed to be like an insect. Oh, let me delete this file, which is the Dynamesh one. There's no point on keeping this file, so this tool. So I'm deleting this one. So one of the things that changed through the design is that Jose did like this um, skin looking arm, like it's completely wrapped in skin, like soft, and it looks very organic. So I'm keeping the same design for the rest of the body. Maroon, una pregunta, ¿cómo puedo hacer una extrusión C modeler? A ver, so Maroon is asking how he's able to create like an extrusion in C modeler. So let me see. I'm gonna create this cube, make polymesh 3D, select C modeler, and when you select C modeler, the idea is you're working like in 3ds Max or Maya, which the type of selection is important. For example, edge loops, vertex, or faces or polygons. So for each vertex, polygon, or edge, there's like a list of actions you can actually do. For example, I'm selecting only the edge. You can actually see right now it's on insert, meaning that if I click, it will create an insert, a new edge loop. The same applies for the face. Right now it's going to be on extrude, QMesh, single poly, meaning that only this polygon is going to receive like the extrusion. So click, and there it is. So I hope that helps. Um, Espero que esto te ayude, Marun. La idea es que cuando pongas SimModeler, elijas un polígono, pones space, y aquí te vienen todas las acciones que puedes hacer para hacer la extrusión. Entonces, para polígonos, lo presionas sobre el polígono que quieres y aprietas, y eso puede crear la extrusión. When are you coming to LA? Will you? Hey, Dave, how are you? I'm going there. I'm coming to LA next Thursday. That's why actually I'm doing this stream on Monday and not usually on Thursday is my stream. So it's because I'm flying to LA that day. So I will be able to attend the meet and greet on Friday. So I guess I'll be seeing you there, mate. Will you be there like since Friday? ¿Cuánto tiempo me toma realizar un modelo? Pues depende de la complejidad del modelo. Literal puede ser de un día o unas horas hasta varias semanas. Especialmente si tiene como topología y todo eso. So I'm going to start creating like this soft squishy part. La idea es que esté completamente cubierto de piel, aunque es como un insecto. Entonces voy a empezar a crear como todos esos detalles orgánicos. Oh, awesome, awesome, Dave. I'm really excited. Do you live in LA or you're also traveling to LA? I just learned C Modeler has a do nothing button, so useful for noobs like me. I don't actually use that much C Modeler either. I'm more used to like model and making like that type of modeling, like box modeling in Max. So it's been really hard for me to get used to creating that in ZBrush. ¿Das clases de cursos de México? No, la verdad no, no, todavía no me he animado a dar cursos ni clases, no, siento que todavía me falta y como que ahorita no ha sido mi prioridad, pero tengo varios amigos que dan justamente clases en varias escuelas ahí en la Ciudad de México. Todos son muy buenos. De hecho, la mayoría da clases en escena, por si alguno estaba interesado. Ahí. So even though it's supposed to be an insect, I want to have like everything looking a little disgusting. Like a lot of wrinkles and skin imperfections. So la idea es todavía seguir creando un poco de esa imperfección de la piel. Todavía estoy improvisando, estoy aprovechando un poco las formas que creé antes para sacar los detalles de la piel. So I'm actually using like all those happy accidents to create all the wrinkles in the skin. I find it easier and quicker just to have like all this organic stuff from the Dynamesh and actually use it to create the wrinkles and all those parts. So, what are the difference between a game model and a cinematic model other than the poly count? So I guess just like the poly count, but other than the poly count, it's gonna be like the size of the textures. For example, for games, they're gonna be like considerably smaller, even though it's supposed to, for example, like a main character, it's gonna be like smaller the UVs than a cinematic character considered to be like a hero character also. Oh, you live in Orange County? County? Nah, it's super close. So every day, are you going to be like going back home? Or are you staying near Aaron Sims? One of the other things I've been trying to do is to create like something with less detail, like leaving more resting areas without exaggerating with all the detail everywhere. También lo que quiero hacer es como tener las áreas un poco más limpias, no quiero atascar todo de detalle. Unas zonas que estén un poco más neutrales. Hey Ian, ¿cómo te abro? Oh, awesome, Dave. I'm staying like super close to Aaron Sims, like literally 4 houses away from the studio. So it's gonna be a long night. So I'm going to make this a little less exaggerated. Oh, actually, I have an idea. Es una de las técnicas que me gusta mucho usar, que es cuando tienes un modelo con algunas arrugas ya hechas, le das inflate y eso exagera un poco más las arrugas. So what I'm going to do is exaggerate a little more those wrinkles by using the inflate tool. So now it looks like a really chubby creature. Oh, it's dynamic on. There it is. Ah, gracias, bro. Todavía tenemos pendiente hacer algún tipo de collab. Ahí va, ha sido trabajo en equipo. Do you know what the announcement from Pixelogic will be? No, I have no idea. I'm pretty excited. For everyone who's not aware, today Pixelogic announced that there's gonna be an announcement next Tuesday, 27th, right here through ZBrush Live. So I have no idea what they have in mind, but I'm really excited. Plus, I saw they're going to be like giving something away. They haven't said what. I suppose maybe toys or something like that, like they did in the ZBrush Summit, or maybe some tutorials, something like that. I don't know. I'm really excited. Hey, Gustavo. Hello to Brazil. How are you? So I think I'm going to use again the inflate for this part. I really like the effect it creates, like all those fat tummy wrinkles. Once I subdivide, they start to look more like wrinkles and less just like lines. So do you think you should avoid dynameshing and sculpting when we are very new to ZBrush? No, I think like you try dynameshing because dynamesh is like really fun. So try having fun with the program. And one of the nice things from ZBrush is really nice to have just a moment for yourself and sculpt. So Dynamesh is really excellent for practicing, for example, sculpture, like just creating something and practicing like anatomy and all that. And Dynamesh is perfect for that. You shouldn't rely always and every time on Dynamesh, but there is nothing wrong on using it. And I mean, that's why tools exist, right? That's the idea behind it. Um, No te preocupes, Daniel. ¿Podrías explicarme cómo se realiza Polygroups? Ya que traté de hacer un collar de perro para el modelo, pero después creé el hueco. Okay, so Daniel is asking how to create like polygroups, like for example for a color. So there could be two options. Let me first save because, you know. And so for example in this part, right now I already have a polygroup in the tail, which is oh, I'm gonna use one of the legs. So I'm gonna, for example, create a bracelet on the leg. So I already have all these in one polygroup. So one of the ways to create is by creating a mask. Voy a usar la pierna para crear lo que me dices de como un collar o un brazalete. Entonces voy a poner una máscara alrededor de la pierna. And then hit Control W, and that will create a mask create a new polygroup from the mask. Entonces, pues lo que voy a hacer con esto en máscara, pongo Control W y eso va a crear un polygroup ahí. Entonces ya está separado. That's the shortcut. I mean, I prefer working with shortcuts, but you can actually go like create polygroups and all that. Usualmente, ¿qué material usas para el esculpido? Casi siempre empiezo con red wax. A mí me gusta el material, pero luego voy cambiando con diferentes materiales. O sea, tengo una librería de materiales y como se van viendo. Me gusta porque ves cómo le afecta la luz al modelo. So I usually start working with red wax. I really like that material, even though some people hate it. And once the model it's like mainly finished, or at least the main forms, and I'm not gonna like keep improvising and looking for main shapes, then I switch to different materials, like for example this one or this one. I really like this type of brown looking materials. They look like very neutral. So let me see about the tail. So I think I'm gonna keep working now on the legs. I'm gonna isolate the rest of it. Now the cool part is that now that I have different subdivision levels, I'm able to work, for example, on this part on a low resolution, and then move uh, with higher subdivision levels and see the result of my changes. So it's really nice. Eso es lo bueno de trabajar justamente con diferentes subdivisiones, que cuando haces un cambio puedes subir a las subdivisiones anteriores, digamos las altas, y puedes ver el cambio aplicado sin problemas. Hey Jason, really? Nice, thank you. I'm really happy that you've been like watching the entire process. It's been really fun. There were certain moments, well, actually many moments in which I had no idea what I was doing. But thanks for for standing by and keeping faith in this character. So I have right here in my other screen many references, mainly of different insects, but I mean, I have other references like aliens and Japanese looking insect um, bodysuits, like, I don't know, maybe from Ultron or some from maybe some TV show. I'm not certain, but I try to use like all the references I can find. Thanks, Jason. I actually came across this tonight, a couple of minutes ago. I've been using like YouTube's music library, which is good, but I grew tired of it because I didn't have like. I mean, there are plenty of options, but I'm very picky with that type of stuff. And since I'm not a big fan of listening to music while I work, I try to look for music that's not so invasive. But for classical music, it's easier, and it's also in the YouTube music library, so it's free to use, which is like the main concern because sometimes YouTube actually will remove the audio from the stream if they find like copyright infringement. Digo, hay formas más complicadas de hacerlo, pero yo prefiero eso porque es mucho más rápida. Entonces, entre más rápido trabajes, mejor. Um, when you draw an object with an brush, how can you continue drawing another object with the same brush without toggling out of it to another brush? Hopefully it makes sense. You mean like, okay, let me find the other cube, this one. For example, I create this and then I want to change to this one and then like this, like creating using different meshes from the same library, or I'm a little lost with the question. Oh, you mean like, oh, okay. No, the only way I know is actually like pressing Control and dragging, but and that's the only way I know. Yeah. When you're doing manual low poly, how do you go through doing a really heavy, like, um, I didn't get too much of the question, Sen. Like, you mean creating a color like the one from the insect, like the one I created right now, like with the polygroups and all that? No, it wasn't that confusing. I was a little distracted, and since I need to switch the language. Hey, Seba Cantero, gracias. ¿Cuál es ¿qué onda, Iván? ¿Cómo te abro? La liga de Twitch es. Déjate la pongo ahí en el chat. Esta es la liga de Twitch. So I'm going to keep working on the arms. I mainly don't want like straight lines on the design. For example, right here, you can actually see in the silhouette that it's like a straight line, and most of the design it's been like very um, rounded, so it doesn't have those type of straight lines. So I'm trying to keep the same design on the same line. So I'm going to create a little curvature right here. because I try to keep like the same design over and over in different parts of the body. For example, right here. For example, this part, it was inspired by what Jose did right here in the shoulder plate. So I try to keep it similar. Oh yeah, I mean, oh yeah, I get the question sent, but to be honest, I would do something like that on 3ds Max or maybe Maya, because I'm not really that used to of doing box modeling in ZBrush. I'm pretty sure that there's a way, but I feel more comfortable doing that with a software like 3ds Max. So I try not to use a lot the smooth brush like this because I really like all these details. They're meant to be like happy accidents. So when I try to smooth something, I usually use trim dynamic and a little smooth, but I try to keep the smooth to the minimum. Or at least for this character. I mean, it's not like a rule I follow with every character. Hey Arturo, gracias. So most of the shapes are like they're already designed, so it's easy right now. I don't have to work that much on the design. Where I will have to work, it's on the head, but I'm leaving that to the end. Right now I'm going to define like these joints. For example, using again the inflate brush. So it creates like that cavity in a more exaggerated way. Many of those details won't be like visible to the final render. I really like to work on them anyway. So I'm going to make the same thing. The same technique of going into a lower resolution and then using the inflate brush. So I have a more defined lower and upper part of the leg. Thanks, Zen. Yeah, I really like using the inflate brush for that type of things. For example, mm, I don't find anywhere to use it right now. For example, mm, mm, mm. So if I want to make like the cavities between the legs more intense, I would actually create first with dynamic, yeah, I mean with dynamic with them standard, and separate the mesh. So it will start to look like all low, without too much definition. So I'll go back a few subdivision levels, maybe add a little pinch, then inflate, and then go up, and I already have like a more defined crevice. This is a really nice technique. It can actually work to create like these wrinkles, for example, right here. That's the idea. I could actually just do some random lines like this, and then go with a lower subdivision level, press inflate, and go up again, smooth a little bit, and I have like this organic looking pattern, which I actually can work again, then standard, and then inflate again, and so on and so on, until I have like something that I'm comfortable with. Yeah, it's really useful to having different subdivision levels. That's why I actually did the series measure, even though it's not the perfect topology. It works perfectly to have like this type of pipeline. So even though supposed like to be an exoskeleton, I'm still going to add wrinkles. Like it was supposed to be, like it's supposed to be covered by skin. How far are you planning to take this through the process? Since it's going to be like a collaboration between Jose and I was actually thinking that the final mesh, we both will have like maybe a week to have a different final render. So I'm actually thinking using Keyshot for this one, since I don't think I'll create different maps and all that. I use Keyshot because it's like the quickest way. Usually when I have like more serious projects with topology and all that, I tend to use more V-Ray. However, I've been lately using a little more of Arnold since it's free in the latest version of Maya. But since I already have V-Ray, well, I try to make the better of it. But for this one, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like a keyshot render, maybe a V-Ray. I'm not certain yet. Probably I won't make the textures. What I'll do is create like a procedural texture, procedural and shader. maybe in Keyshot. So I'll give it like some, like for example, I did an ape, a space ape, like a couple of weeks ago. It was also done in my streaming, and at the end, the final render was also done in Keyshot with procedural maps, because I tried to use, for example, the curvature map. It's called in Keyshot. In V-Ray, it's called the dirt map. So it makes use of all the cavities that the sculpture already has to create different colors. So that's super useful. Hey Diego, ¿cómo te va? Hola. Yeah, so probably won't make like the retopo for this character. Any thoughts on Marmoset? I haven't used it, to be honest. It's one of those things that I need to learn. Usually when I've done like low poly characters for games, I usually showcase them inside Unity, but I need to learn to use Marmoset. I mean, I've tried like maybe twice, but I like needed to do a proper project for Marmoset. The difference between bump map and displacement. Displacement will create, for example, um, so for example, the cube right here. Normal will create the illusion using the norm, for example, the normal of this plane, which is going like to the like this, will create the illusion. It's like a fake, um, details, for example, of skin and for example, it's supposed to be having like spikes. These spikes will be fake. They won't be like reacting to light, and they won't be like real geometry. It's gonna be fake. For displacement, the geometry will actually be a little more deformed. It's really hard to explain like this. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've sorry if I didn't give like the best example of it. ¿Tomaste referencia de las películas de Starship Troopers? Sí, de hecho, en el stream anterior no sabía qué hacer con las piernas y justamente fue de las referencias que utilicé para el cuerpo. Porque no me acordaba ni siquiera el nombre, pero en el stream me hizo un favor de recordarme el nombre de las criaturas y fue mucho más fácil. So Daniel was asking if I actually use any type of reference from the movie Starship Troopers. And I was telling him that in the last stream I did. I wasn't certain where I was going with the design in the last stream, at least for the legs. I was doing some type of Jabba Hot body, so it wasn't working. So I used the reference of those like of the soldiers of Starship Troopers. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. And since these streams tend to be like really quick, I mean characters from like I don't know from 2 to 4 hours, I don't invest that much time on the final render of the streams. At least on the last streams I've been doing. Oh, yeah, for 3 printing, the high poly is perfect, so there's no point in making a low poly version. Sometimes it's more fun, right? Like that, right? Like just having the sculpture and that's it, without having to think in all the technical issues that may come across while doing the baking of the maps and the retopology. It's easier just to the sculpture. More fun. So I try to create a little more hard edges right here, since these parts are supposed to be like very sharp. And yeah, so I'm just preparing everything to subdivide one more time and then add all the small details like boards and all that. Right now I'm just defining all the shapes, the main shapes. Then I'll add the next layer of details, and then I'll go and change the head. Hopefully it won't take me that much time to decide the shape of the head. I was thinking between redesigning like from scratch again the entire head, or maybe using what I already have. Uh, Let me show you the head. First, let me save. So right now, mm, this is the head, but it came like from different iterations. I don't really like it right now. For example, the eyes, even though it's supposed to be like a mantis, I don't think they're working. And underneath, you can actually see the old eyes, which are this one, 3 different eyes in each side. So maybe I'll modify this head with those 3 eyes, or maybe that's an option. Yep, could be an option, so I don't have to start all over again. So I'm going to do the same thing for the front legs. All this noise, it's really useful. Try not to lose it entirely. And I guess I'll exaggerate more these spikes, but a little later. Is freelancing a safe career option? Yeah, I mean, most of the friends that I know that like do this type of stuff, most of them are freelancers. So I'm pretty sure it's like a safe option. So it's easier right now that I already have the design in my mind. And let me save one more time. I tried to save in different versions of the file. That way, if one of the files actually lost or overwritten or something like that, I have several versions before. I won't have to start from scratch. I have no idea what type of music is that one. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to create lines with damp standard brush. And then going to use inflate. Hey, Benjamin. No, it doesn't look like red wax because I already did my part with red wax. I tried to use red wax at the beginning. I'm still loyal to that material, my friend. So now I have this. I'm going to use inflate. And then going up, I already have this defined. I'm going to clean a little bit of this part because it's way too noisy. It's cool to have like these other legs that I already finished as a little reference. For example, I'm going to remove right now these spikes. However, at the end I'm going to add them, but with higher subdivision levels, so they're more detailed. Right now they look a little clumsy. Yeah. I mean, these are these are all small details, but the idea is to have like all this finished in a couple of maybe in an hour, and to have all the wrinkles and pores and all that defined. So I will be able to focus on the head, which is like the main part. But since I already had this, I decided to start with the torso. It's a lot of cleaning. And again, again, I'm going to define this part. It reminds me a little bit of that creature from Star Wars, from episode 2. I think it's called the Clay, but I'm not certain. But reminds me a little bit, at least the legs. Yeah, super classy, right? Creating aliens with Mozart as background. Yeah, it's called a clay, right? I really like the design of that one, except for the head. I wasn't a big fan of the head design. When you do a sculpt from a concept, do you follow it 100% or you add your own stuff? Now, if it's like, for example, someone else concept, I try to be like as close as possible to the original concept. Because, I mean, it's fun to add like your own stuff to the concept. However, if you are this, I mean, if your idea is to have like the design of someone else in 3D, then I think you should actually like respect the entire um, concept of the other guy or girl. I try to do. I used to do that a lot, like creating. I looked for different illustrations on Instagram and tried to turn them into 3D, and it was super useful, especially for illustrations that weren't meant to be in 3D. Like for example, on my last stream, I created like those Japanese um, tigers, like um, I forgot the name of them. Yeah, the two designs, like in Japanese style. I created a tiger in that style, so it was a little challenging to create that because I needed to follow. It wasn't the concept of someone else; it was mainly a style, but it's a style that is meant not to be like in 3D. So it was really hard to turn all those lines into shapes and give it some 3D elements without losing the entire feeling of the design. Hey gaming, The name of the material I'm using right now, let me check because I'm not certain. It's called ZBrush underscore clayset underscore S02. I'm gonna write it because it's gonna be a little hard to find. I'm not certain who did this. I'm gonna paste it in the chat. Give me a second. So that's the name of the material. I'm not sure who made it, but maybe you will be able to find it that way using the name. I mean, that's the original name because I haven't changed anything of it. And it's really nice. I mean, it is not red wax, but it's good. And I think I'm going to create the lines from this part also, or I have no idea. For example, this type of mistakes, you can see like I have these two lines, like here and here. I was thinking in creating like a joint like this one, like a very insect looking joint. However, since I have this and it looks like a more human arm like this with these lines, I'm gonna make use of them and try to merge them into a single arm instead of being like separate parts. So it's one of those happy accidents I tend to look for in the sculpture. Hey Alejandro, saludos, ¿cómo estás? Hey, I'm sorry I can't read your name. Sorry. Yeah, right? Hard to find a substitute to red wax, but it's close enough. So I try to use a lot of the clay brush for this type of organic stuff because it's not perfect. It creates like these little bumps, like for example, right here. It creates like this effect that it looks like a layer of fat or a lot of imperfections under the skin. So that's why I actually use a lot of the clay brush while creating something organic. And for example, I have this straight line right here, and I want to keep using the same lines, like curvature everywhere and not straight lines in any part of the model, because that's the type of design we've been working on. Also on the back. Something so majestic, so easy to use. I worked on 3D print, but there are minor cavities between the head and the jacket. I tried to Dynamesh it, but Dynamesh is not able to fill that cavity. So any tips how to fill those cavities? Like they're like holes, like complete holes. Because if it's like a real hole, you can actually use close holes right here. Geometry, modify topology, and close holes. Where is it? Here. But I think that you meant like cavities, like in a sculptural way. I'm not certain. I had to look at it, but for example, if I wanted to remove all these cavities, I'll use something like clay buildup, but I'll try to use with back-facing mask, back-face auto mask on, which you can actually find right here. Brush, auto masking, and here is back-face mask. What we'll do is like, for example, if I start creating right in this side of the leg, you can see that this side is like not affected at all. And if I did like all the opposite, um, back facing off, you see it starts to affect the back of it. So it's one of the things that I try to turn on, and maybe that will work to fill the cavities. I'm not certain. Yeah, happy organic accidents. Maybe I'll create a little happy wrinkle right here, and since it's alone, I'll create another happy wrinkle right here so it has a brother, and there it is, two happy wrinkles. With cavities I drag live boolean. Oh yeah, that's a good option. Yeah, using live booleans. I never thought of it. It's a good use of booleans. Un poco más grande la parte trasera del insecto. Sí, de hecho, al principio era más larga, pero el problema es que si lo hacía más larga, el modelo iba a ser demasiado grande. Entonces, de hecho, llegaba como por hasta acá. Entonces, por dejarlo un poco ya más compacto, decidí hacerlo un poco más chico. Pero sí, estoy de acuerdo en eso. Hey, Germán. Sí, pues siempre son, siempre es buena opción aplicar cosas nuevas, diferentes métodos. Igual y alguno te funciona. Hey, Doctor Freeze, ¿qué onda? ¿Cómo estás? So I'm going to start working now on the shoulder plates. Well, they're not shoulder plates, but they look a little bit like that, so I'm gonna call them shoulder plates anyway. I mean, this has already been like defined in my previous stream, so I don't have to work that much on this. I'll just remove some of the noise, like for example right here. I think we're doing good with the time. Mm, okay. Have a good night, Sculptor Dad. Thanks for coming by. Um, is your user interface available for your followers? Yeah, I have it in my Gumroad. Let me create. Let me give you the link. It's free to download. I mean, if it's useful for you guys, I'm happy to share it. Um, Give me a second. Mm, Yeah, I also dream in red wax. I live in red wax. That's my way of living. Give me a second and I'll actually share it. Yeah, I also dream in red wax. I live in red wax. That's my. Oh, I think I'm not allowed my way of living to share links on YouTube. So I'm not allowed to share links on YouTube. So that's like the easiest way to look for me on my Gumroad for the user interface. It's free to download. I mean, all the colors and all the buttons. It's easier to download it and then customize it. So you're happy with it. Let me share it also on here. Give me a second. Done. So, Oscar, dentro del concepto de crear criaturas, ¿tienes alguna regla o solo te dejas llevar? No tengo ninguna regla, o sea, trato de conservar la anatomía principalmente, pero incluso eso lo llego a romper a veces. Pero fuera de eso no hay ninguna regla que trate de seguir. De hecho, trato justamente de variarlo. You are welcome, gaming. I hope it's useful. So I think I'm done with this part. I mean, I already have all those details from before, so it won't be necessary to work too much on them. And now I'm going to work on this part and this one. Yep. So I'm gonna need more polygons right here because I need more resolution. But I think I'm gonna be able to clean them without dividing. I just want to create the main shapes and define them. So I will be able to create all those small details like wrinkles and pores more easy. So Alejandro was asking if I have like any type of rules while creating creatures. I was telling him that I don't have any rules per se. I try to stay as close to um, an anatomical correct creature, but even then, sometimes I try to break that. I mean, it's good to have like the anatomy on your creature, but sometimes just for the fun of it, I try to do something that um, doesn't work like doesn't look like it will actually work on the real world. But that would be like the only rule. Oh, you're welcome, gaming. Yeah, I have no idea why it doesn't allow me to share the link on YouTube, but I was able to share it on Facebook and Twitch. So I think I'm going to leave this just as it is. There isn't much to change right now. All this looks fairly good. So what I'm going to do is leave it like this right now, and then move to the head, and then come back and add all the details. Hopefully it won't take me that much time. So what I did was I tried to define more like the details. This is the mesh how it looks right now, and this is how it looked before. I mean, it's minor details. I try to clean, especially the legs and the bottom part of the belly because it was very rough. So now that I have defined that, I'm going to move to the head. I'm going to decide if I actually change it entirely by a new head or use this one. So let me see my references. ¿Nunca has modelado la firma femenina? Sí, monas chinas, las waifus. No has sentido ganas de un día modelar un escenario robot. Escenarios no mucho. Robots sí, de hecho también me gusta bastante. De hecho, para el próximo stream, el que va a ser el próximo jueves, no este, sino el que viene el de la próxima semana, el jueves. De nuevo momento. Jueves 30, jueves 29. Parece si va a ser un. ¿Cómo se llama? Un robot. De hecho, estaba pensando hacer un robot y un poco de retopo para ese personaje. Y monas chinas, no, nunca he hecho nada así. He hecho personajes femeninos, pero no, nada así, en ese sentido como de anime. Now I have to have to work on projects. My personal link on Twitch. Sure, let me see. So this is my personal Twitch channel, and I haven't done like too many streams since I started doing with the ones with Pixelogic, but Hopefully that will change soon. Where I'm actually more active is on it's on Instagram. I try to upload something almost daily, mainly sketches, so that's an easier and more interesting way to keep in contact with me. AG21, thanks. I'm glad you like it. Hey, Caro Phoenix, thanks. Tavern, also thank you. Glad you enjoyed. So I'm trying to define the head. Still not certain of it. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to sketch another head. I think that's gonna be easier than just trying to fix that one. I'm gonna keep like the same idea of having like this insect-looking creature. And since Jose did like the lower part of the jaw, I won't be able to improvise that much. I'll try to keep it on a certain degree on the same design, but let me see. Um, so my first sculpt I did some designs based on a caterpillar. Right now I'm going to create something looking more like a spider, maybe? A spider looking creature. Give me a second. Yeah, okay, so what I'm going to do is use this. This is actually like the entire body before I start working. It's been decimated, so it's not really that heavy, and it doesn't have any polygroups. The idea is to have this as a testing ground to have the new head designed. So I'm going to try to make the same design, however, some of the things are going to change. Like for example, so I want something that works with the silhouette I already have. Esto se podría llamar como un speed sculpt cuando te reglamento un proyecto, digamos, de dificultad media. Sí, o sea, la cabeza que voy a hacer ahorita es un speed sculpt. El proyecto en general creo que sí ha sido algo lento porque no lo hago solo, lo hago con José. Pero más o menos un proyecto medio yo creo que sería como una semana de trabajo. Okay, gaming, have a great day. Do you have a personal art station or YouTube channel? YouTube channel, I don't. I don't do that more. Like, I don't do that much videos. However, my art station, let me share it. You can actually see my art station right below in the stream. Um, it's the same like name for everything. Mainly, it's Heretic Templar. I think for my art station, it's actually Heretic slash Templar. That's where I'm actually uploading like finished projects. For my sketches, I do a lot of Instagram. So the idea is to have like this creature have human teeth, like this one that I already did. I mean, I don't want to send to the trash bin like all the work I did in my previous streams. So at least I'm going to keep it, the fangs and the human teeth, and probably I'm gonna make it blind. I won't add any type of eyes. Right now I'm just like creating silhouette and playing with shapes. Let me see. It's more close to what the one I did on the first stream, so it's a little funny that I came back to the design. That's the idea. I mean, that sometimes happens. Hey Akela, have you ever gone back to old projects you've done in the past and redo them? Yes, I tend to have like a lot of projects at the same time, so many of the projects I've never finished them, and I leave them like in my whips folder. So a couple of months later, actually, when I don't have like many things to do, I'll go back to an old project and finish it. There are a couple of projects right now that I'm working on that started as an exercise like a long time ago, and right now I was able to retake them. And well, you're constantly learning, so it's always nice to see how you have improved by seeing your older work and trying to fix it. So I try from time to time to do that. Awesome, Zen. Thanks. René, ¿qué onda? ¿Cómo estás? ¿En qué programa haces la retopología de tus sculpts? Los hago casi siempre en 3ds Max. De hecho, para el próximo stream que va a ser el jueves 29, creo, voy a hacer un robot y no voy a hacer el retopo de todo el personaje, pero una parte sí la voy a retopologizar. Voy a hacer el retopo. So, Rene was asking, where do I actually do like the retopo? And I was telling her that in my next, well, I usually do the retopology on 3ds Max. I used to do it on Topagon, but the later version of 3ds Max has all the tools from Topagon, so it's really useful. It's like, to be honest, I stopped using Topagon and I stayed with. Sorry, the music a little distracting. I stayed with 3ds Max, and I was telling her that in my next stream, which is going to be Thursday 29, I believe, maybe 30. I'm not certain. Like, let me check. Yeah, 29. I'm going to do like a robot, like entire hard surface from ZBrush, and then do some retopologize maybe from one of the parts. Not entire project, but some of the parts will be retopologized. Hey Joe, thanks a lot. I'm glad you like them. So let me save this head. I'm actually liking the design of it. What I'm going to do, like for example, I don't have that much. um, resolution right now. It's only like 4,000 polygons. So right here in well, right here in my user interface, but usually you can find the resolution of the Dynamesh right here in geometry, Dynamesh resolution. I'll take down subprojection to 0 because subprojection, for example, F Dynamesh, if I go a little higher, Dynamesh, subprojection, subprojection will create not entirely, how to say it, clean mesh. It will try to optimize the mesh. But since I'm not looking for that, I'm going to leave it to 0, blur to 0 project. And there's it. It's maybe too much resolution. 80. 80 is the magical number. Yep. Thanks for taking the time to translate Q&A. It's much appreciated. Yeah, it's not a big issue. I mean, sometimes I have to think twice before talking, but it's not a big issue. You're welcome. Um, right now I have a little more resolution, so what I'm going to do is start defining more of the shapes. This is what I really enjoy of ZBrush, like just sketching stuff. Literally, I started this a couple of minutes ago, so I like that I already have the design mostly on my head defined. However, since I'm a big fan of happy accidents, I won't mind to change that design that is living on my head right now. Daniel, pregunta dependiendo de para qué industrias trabajes, como para series, películas o videojuegos, ¿un modelador puede vivir bien? Es decir, uno puede mantenerse modelado. Sí, sin problemas. De hecho, o sea, por ejemplo, la próxima semana, no, la próxima semana, este viernes voy a estar viajando a Los Ángeles y pues todo me lo pago gracias al 3D, entonces definitivamente puedes vivir bien del 3D sin ningún problema. So Daniel was asking if you are able to live well by working as a 3D artist, and I was telling him that it's a complete, yeah, I mean, it's a good option to work in this, and it's safe to say that you are able to live well. It depends completely on how much time you invest on it. The better you are, the more chances you have to make it. But I guess that's like in everything in life. So I don't think I'll give him eyes. Let me. Well, maybe I will. I'm not certain. I'm gonna finish this and then I will see if I'll have to add some eyes. So the idea of this is, even though it has like this human-looking mouth, the rest of the head it's like the shell of a cockroach. So it still looks like an insect, but it still looks like an alien, and it looks aggressive. So no, that's too much. So I think it's working. ¿Se puede hacer una pequeña muestra de cómo se logra hacer la armadura tan limpia como lo contrario orgánico? Sí. So Jab is asking me how I actually did the armor, which is this. Um, well, this is the this made parts. This is the ones I did. So it's all the Dynamesh and then zero measure and then booleans. So for example, I'm going to create something right here. Well, actually, I'm going to use a new mesh. So for example, this. I already have this, so it's easier to use. So first, let me save because sometimes it will crash and lose everything. Voy a usar este mesh para hacer lo que me pides de las armaduras. Ahorita tengo todo esto en Dynamesh y digamos que quiero hacer como una parte robótica. Lo que haría es, le pondré una máscara. Bueno, en el caso de esto, por lo que tengo en mente. So I'll mainly use a mask to extract the rest of it. Give me a second. Geometry, subtool, extract, and accept. So lo que hice fue ponerle una máscara al mesh y luego irme a subtool, extract, y aquí puedes manejar el thickness del mesh. Y una vez que te gusta el tamaño de las geometrías que has creado, simplemente le das extract y le das accept. Entonces ya tienes como en un subtool separado todo esa parte de armadura, ¿no? So next what I'll do is actually, for example, I could actually use clip curve to make this a little more clean, like this. It's not gonna be perfect because it's gonna create like these edges. However, we'll fix them later. And like this, and then like this. Oh, that one didn't work. Lo que voy a hacer es, para hacer un poco esto más limpio, a veces simplemente le hago con clip. Muchas veces te vas a dar estos detalles de aquí, pero la idea es que ahorita lo vamos a reutilizar, entonces no hay problema con eso. Lo único que sí es que no me deja hacer esto, porque te das cuenta, me hace todos estos detalles. Entonces, lo que voy a hacer es, I'm going to do auto groups, and then I'm going to select the slice curve, and create this. Lo que hago es, le pongo auto groups, y luego con el brush de slice, lo que va a hacer en lugar de cortar es separar en diferentes polygroups. Entonces, lo que hago, I'm going to select this and delete it. Delete hidden. Entonces ya tengo este mesh, ¿no? Si se dan cuenta, ahora le pongo close holes. And since I'm actually selecting close holes, it will create this curvature, which is not bad. But one way to fix it is actually selecting this. Oops. Lo muevo así. Igual y hasta el fondo. Like this. So I will have this completely stretched. Lo que hice fue literal agarrar este pedazo y moverlo hasta el fondo. Solo un lado. Y lo que voy a hacer es mirror, mirror and weld. So it will create this mesh. It's not entirely perfect, but it will work to create the hard surface part. So esto es lo que puedes hacer para crear tu parte como hard surface. Lo que al final vamos a hacer es un remesh. So te vas aquí, Geometry, Remeasure. Para esta parte voy a quitarle estos y voy a dar Zero Measure. Now, after I actually used Zero Measure, the idea is to have like a more clean mesh. So what you have to do is select half and deactivate adapt. That way you'll have a lower mesh, and click zero mesh a couple of times. For example, right like this. Entonces lo que hice fue, para darle zero mesh, le pongo half y desactivo adapt y le doy un par de veces a zero mesh para que poder crear una topología un poco más limpia. O sea, realmente no es exactamente la mejor, pero está mucho mejor como la teníamos antes. So what I'll do next, since it's going to be like just a mesh for ZBrush and with nothing in particular, I'll start using live booleans. For example, let's start a cube. Ahorita lo que voy a empezar a usar es live booleans. Entonces inserto un cubo. Y la idea es que quede completamente aquí. Now the order of the subtools is really important for live booleans. So try to have everything organized. And I'm going to put this into subtract mode. Entonces lo que hago es ponerlo como en subtraer. Es exactamente lo que les decía del orden de los subtools. Entonces, so I have like this mesh being cut by the cube. So now I can actually figure out how I want the design of it. For example, this cube right now, it's not like Dynamesh. So I could actually create it as a Dynamesh and then cut this part. And now I have something more sci-fi looking. Entonces lo que hago es ya empezar a jugar con lo que es Dynamesh. Es Dynamesh y Live Booleans. So for example, I already have like this clean part. Where is this? This is like, I don't know, some type of armor or hard surface style. And then I will add small details, for example, like screws and stuff like that. And it's gonna be the same logic to create different subtools. And then depending on the subtool and the idea what I want of the effect that I want to create, I will decide if I want to subtract or if I want to merge them or to create like that different mesh. It's literally playing with the shapes, and since live booleans is non-destructive, you can actually come back and redo the stuff. It's not like, for example, the booleans from 3ds Max. Entonces, lo padre de esto es que como no es destructivo, si algo no te gusta, simplemente lo puedes mover, lo puedes modificar, puedes hacer lo que quieras y el modelo no le pasa nada. O sea, te das cuenta, es un modelo limpio, se ve como el hard surface adecuado. Y, por ejemplo, hay unos booleans, hay unos IMMs que son muy útiles, que son insert booleans, que dan diferentes efectos. So, for example, I'm going to use this type of IMMs that are called insert booleans. They are super useful for hard surfaces. They have like all these effects. So that's the way I actually created the rest of the armor. Like all this. The part from top, the lower part was Jose's work. Which actually he covered, I didn't realize. But well, that's the idea. Mm. Sí, lo de Live Booleans es muy, muy útil. Una pregunta, vi que tenía la armadura decimada y la original en high res. A la original ese es el high. No, la decimada la tenía simplemente porque estoy trabajando en el diseño de la cabeza y realmente todo esto no tiene chiste que lo tenga tan pesado, porque me quería enfocar en rediseñar la cabeza. Entonces, por eso le hice el decimation, pero realmente no le haré un decimation y luego le sacaré los bakes. Por ejemplo, esta es la versión high poly, pero no le sacaré los bakes porque si le fuera a sacar unos bakes sería con buena topología. Un ecorche de anatomía, pues podría ser, no lo descarto. Suena interesante, la verdad. No hay de qué, bro. So I'm going to start defining this. This is going to be like a little, like a shell. So I want to segment everything to create like the lines that divide the different segments from the armor, from the shell. Maybe like this. I'm just improvising, but now that's not working. But I also want to keep the same design that I've been using over and over the entire creature. So I believe something like this is working. I don't have to work that much on it. Maybe like this. Yep, and I'm going to use Dynamesh one more time. Right now the resolution is really low. I mean, as a resolution, I have like 18 only. So it's only 28,000 polygons, so it's really low. So I'm going to add a little more resolution, and then I'm going to do the same workflow of creating this with ZBrush a new mesh, project all the detail, and create like all these small details with it. So 128 of resolution, that's enough, I believe, because I don't want to have like the final details right here. It's just going to be like some of the main shapes to see what's staying and what's going. And maybe I will have like this, instead of being like entire armor, we'll have like some soft tissue right here between the different plates. It's gonna be more interesting. And like this. So I want like a little space between the different plates of the shell. So it looks more like what I had in the arms, in the legs, I'm sorry. For example, right here. Oh, this is the old model. For example, right here. This is what I want to create for the head also, like different type of organic stuff. I mean, one is supposed to be like this shell, and the other one is like soft tissue. So I want to mimic the same thing on the head. So when I try to design creatures or even hard surface stuff, I try to repeat some patterns because that's how it tends to happen in the real world. Hey Gomesh, thanks. Thanks for joining. So now that I have this defined, I like it more than before. It's just I'm not certain if I'm going to add some type of eyes. Let me see how it works. For this is easier to use insert brush. So I believe it's working, I'm sorry, with those creepy looking eyes. I'm gonna keep him. I'm just gonna polish more the shape of him. Maybe a little bigger. So it's it's actually like a cleaner version of my first um, head that I designed for this creature. So it's a little funny that I came back at the end to the same design, but a little more cleaner because the one I had before was like less clean and I had like a lot of things going on. Now it's easier to read. I mean, even though it's compared to the rest of the body, the head's really small, but I believe it's easier to read like this than what I had before, which is, let me see, it's this one. Well, this is like the third version, and the fourth version was, let me see where the eyes are. Mm, I don't find the eyes. Oh, here are they. No, yep. So these were the last version of the eyes, but I wasn't a big fan of them. So this is how the creature began. Well, it began at this with this stream, and this is how it's going to look at the end. I mean, it's way cleaner, but I believe it's working better. So I'm gonna keep working on it. Maybe I even separate the mouth from the spider looking head. One of the things that I really like to use, it's spider eyes and spider like faces, because they tend to be like super creepy, at least for people. So when I want to create something super disturbing, I try to go with spider things. one of the other things that I think is working, it's the lower part of the head that Jose did, like this, the jaws from right here. They stay in the same design, so he won't have to modify them later. I mean, it's working right now. So and I'm going to create those like crevices around the eyes, so it doesn't look like just some spheres added to the rest of the head. Now it has a little more volume on it. And I'm going to save it. Yep, and I think I'm going to delete now this head. So I'm sorry, mate. And also the eyes. And the lower part. I had like this brain looking thing on the back, so I'm not gonna use it anymore. And I'm going to append the new head. And the new eyes, which is these ones. And I'm going to rename it because, well, Jose has like a lot of subtools without names, but I try to keep them with names so it's easier to read. And now what I'm going to do, now that I have like the creature designed, I'm gonna add the details to the lower part of the mesh. They're gonna be like quick details. I won't have to like add everywhere wrinkles and all that. Since Jose did this to the body, I'm gonna keep making the same stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is to, let me check this. Let's create a weird mesh here. It's like broken. So what I'll do is close holes. It's not working. Oh, it's not broken, it's just different meshes. But okay. So I won't be needing, I guess, the lower resolution. What I'm going to fix this is gonna be a mirror and weld because this side's looking well. So let me save it. Just smooth it. No, it's not working. Well, let me see. Yeah, because I tried to smooth everything, but it's not really working. For example, like this, it's doing some weird stuff. Topology right there, it's really weird. I mean, it works if I smooth this side, but this is looking really weird. So I'm gonna try a different thing. So I did 3 subdivision levels and then modify the lower resolution. I'm trying to see if it doesn't crash because it has to reconstruct the entire mesh, but no, it looks like it worked. Yep, there it is. So now that I don't have to bother that, I still have these small details. There you go. Yeah, it was symmetrical, but I have no idea what the zero. I believe like when I did the zero mesh, maybe I didn't have on symmetry. That's why the symmetry wasn't symmetrical, and the new mesh from zero mesh wasn't symmetrical. But I'm not certain. What I'm going to do now is subdivide one time, and then I'm going to use more of targets. Store morph target. Now I can actually sculpt the details. We're gonna use mainly the alphas that you can actually find on ZBrush as default. Let me think how I'm going to tackle this. Um, yeah, so maybe for like this part is gonna be like a very rough area. So it's gonna be like a shell, but I don't want it to look like super hard. The good thing is that I can actually like add details without thinking that much, and then I'll use more of target to remove all the excess detail. For example, like this. Like all this is way too much. Yeah, it's probably a bug. Oh well, that happens from time to time. So I don't want anything like super full with details because what Jose did with the other parts of the body, they weren't that detailed. So it's gonna be looking weird if I add like details everywhere and his parts were like super clean. And for this, I'm going to use them standard. This is just like some soft bodies, so it doesn't matter what I add there. So the main mesh has already been done. I think I'll just add those details and maybe modify the head a little bit more. It probably was a bad one. Oh, I had the mic muted. Thanks, Loops, and thanks, Fan. What I had before in like the second stream, when I had like the body almost defined, it's nothing compared to this. To be honest, I added like this Java the Hot body, like a slug. It was a very lazy way of working the lower part of the body because didn't have to deal with legs and joints and kneecaps and all that. Oh no, another detail. Here's another detail right here. I have no idea why. So what I'm going to do is delete the morph target. I'm going to save it. I mean, no one is gonna notice that, but I still want to fix it. Free subdivision levels, close holes, and there it is. Yep, let's fix it. And free subdivision levels. Man, I hope it doesn't crash. I'm gonna give the computer a little more time. Oh, it didn't crash. So it fixed the problem. Yep. I have no idea why it did all those things to me. But yep, everything's better now. Yep, it did a mess right there with topology, but it doesn't matter. It's not like I'm going to rig it or anything like that. So I think I'm going to add a little more detail right here. Yeah, luckily it didn't crash. I was about to hit like the end task button, but it didn't. I didn't have to. Mm. Oh, it made a mess right here, but it's okay. I can actually fix it. And I'm going to save a morph target of this one too. So the nice thing of this design is that I don't have to add like a lot of details right here. And since it has like a lot of parts, I find it better to have it like clean. It's a different way. I tend to add like a lot of detail to the meshes. Hey Daniel. No, no es tan tarde todavía. Bueno, ya casi termino, espero. Ya no le falta tanto. Ya es nada más. Ya rediseñé la cabeza, que es la nueva cabeza que tiene la criatura. Y solo estoy agregando detalles del cuerpo. So maybe for this part I will have some wrinkles like this. Ah, muchas gracias, bro. So I don't see why I have to keep this. I can actually hide it. Gracias, bro. Sí, ando agregando principalmente arrugas. No le voy a meter tanto detalle porque lo que hizo José antes no tiene tanto detalle, entonces se vería raro una parte muy detallada de la otra, ¿no? Pero pues la idea es esa. Gracias, Daniel. Gracias, bro. No, es como un alien, como combinación de alien con mantis, no sé. Como fue improvisado entre José y yo, fue cambiando bastante. So it's really nice to have all these like resting zones without that much detail. It's easier to have. And I think I'm going to use the same technique of using inflate. Just a little bit. And yeah, it looks more like some organic stuff. Sí, la idea fue dividir el cuerpo, la criatura, en diferentes partes. Yo me encargué de hacer la parte superior de la cabeza y la parte superior del torso y las piernas. Y José hizo la parte inferior de la cabeza y del torso y los brazos. Sí, de hecho tengo varias referencias aquí al lado en PureRef. Son como de insectos y de humanos y de monstruos. De todo un poco variado. I'm not sure if I will be able to finish it this time. I was hoping in that, but maybe I won't be able to finish it. What I'm going to do is add the little spikes on the legs. José sí, José cambia los martes, de hecho. Sí, yo soy los jueves casi siempre, pero como voy a Los Ángeles el jueves justamente, pues no voy a estar. Entonces lo moví por única ocasión hoy al lunes. A guarantee way to salvage the model once you start hitting these bugs, holes and the symmetry thing on a high subdivision level. Usually I will try to work on like older files, but for example right now it wasn't an option. So what I would do for that it's using I'm sorry, using say geometry, going to like a low resolution, for example this one of the mesh. Most of the things are corrected by using mirror and weld or close holes, stuff like that. So what I actually do, since you're not able to use close holes or mirror and weld when you have subdivision levels, you go to the lower subdivision and hit freeze subdivision levels, and with that you will be able to work and modify the topology of it. Once you finish, for example, using close holes, you hit on freeze subdivision levels, and that will project all. Oh, it's actually working right now. It will actually project all the details from the new mesh, from the corrected mesh into the high resolution mesh. Solo fue por este fin de semana, bro. Ya la siguiente semana regresa toda la normalidad. I shouldn't have pressed the example by using freeze subdivision levels because it's actually doing it right now. It's a really heavy operation, so it may actually crash or will take a lot of time. So we'll see what happens. Hey Julio, bro, ¿cómo estás? I guess it didn't crash, but well, that's the process. That's the only way I actually find useful to correct that type of mistakes when you already have like a high subdivision high poly meshed. with all the sculpture details. You're welcome. Sorry, you're welcome, Loops. It's a really heavy operation, so sometimes it will actually crash. So it's like my last resource. You can even use SimModeler while on free subdivision levels, but depending on how much detail have you already sculpted into the high poly, it will take a lot of time to reproject all that. Was thinking maybe doing like the zero mesh for this part, but I don't think it's necessary. It's not a big mesh. Oops. So I'm thinking maybe I won't be able to finish it as I thought. Maybe Jose will have to finish it for me. We'll see. Um, ¿Cómo cuánto tiempo lleva aprender anatomía? Es que depende mucho de cuánto te enfoques en ella, pero, o sea, es algo que siempre tienes que estar aprendiendo y practicando. Pero yo me iría, no sé, al menos unos 3 meses dándole así seguidísimo. Yo digo que uno se empieza a sacar ya bien la anatomía. Un modelo detallado cuando recomiendas Zero Measure. Usualmente es cuando, por ejemplo, en este momento, esta cabeza no está tan detallada. Entonces lo que haría es ahorita hacer el Zero Measure para poder detallar los detalles como aquí. Por ejemplo, en este al principio se veía así, y esta era la versión como High Poly de Dynamesh. Entonces le hice un Zero Mesh y así ya pude esculpir todavía más detalles. So Daniel was asking when do I actually decide to add like a zero measure, and I was telling him that in order to add more detail, for example, I have this mesh, which is the mesh from the beginning before the zero mesh. I wasn't able to add more detail unless the Dynamesh file became really, really heavy. So the best idea is to actually do a zero mesh, then project all the details, and after that, it's easier to have this mesh, for example, with several subdivision levels, but I'm able to achieve more details like this. For example, all these wrinkles without doing zero mesh or having like a topology. With Dynamesh will require like a big file. So it's gonna be like a really heavy Dynamesh file. So it's better to have like a at least as a zero mesh file. Is there a way to cut the time it takes to sculpting the details? Depends completely on how much time you actually want to invest in the details. For example, I could actually leave it like that. It already has enough details to stay like on the same look that the file has, like the entire creature. But I mean, how much time you invest on them, it's up to you. I definitely prefer to have a proper and decent base mesh with proper anatomy and muscles and the design correct than having like and without details than having a high poly mesh with a lot of details but without like a proper base. That's why I actually spent a lot of time with low poly mesh because it's I believe it's easier and it's more useful to have a better low resolution mesh than a high poly mesh with a lot of detail. The detail is actually just like the icing on the cake. Plus, there are a lot of ways to add detail if you don't want to invest that much time on it. For example, what I was using of using alphas, it's a perfect way to use to create quickly details. So it's actually a good idea to use that type of stuff. Depends completely on how much time you actually want to invest on details. Sure, Alex, no problem. Where's a good place to find good quality alphas? I usually I try to use mainly the ones from ZBrush for this type of stuff, like um, quick sculptures. However, depends completely on what you're looking for. For example, if you want like good quality alphas for humans, XYZ textures has like the best alphas for skin like human stuff. Most of their alphas are really good. It's called XYZ, and they have like an online store where they sell different type of textures, photo references, and alphas for ZBrush. They have some animal alphas, I believe, but I haven't used those. Only the human, and the humans alphas are really really good. Other than that, on ZBrush Central, there used to be like a ZBrush download center or something like that, where they actually had like a big library of alphas. Those were also good. And the other recommendation I would actually give, it's creating your own alphas. It's pretty easy. I mean, you just need an black and white image. You can actually do that on Photoshop, or create it on your own. But in ZBrush, for example, I'm gonna create an alpha. For example, like this, and let's say I want to. Oops, it's not subdivision level. There. For example, I want an alpha like this. All you have to do is go to alpha and grab doc, and you have already your alpha right here. I mean, you have to do this with more, um, without being like less thinking more of the process, but that's the idea how it works. For example, using that alpha I just created right here, and here it is. It's the same alpha I created right now. So it's really easy to create alphas like that. Yeah, I know, right? Clients never have time. But I guess if you, from the beginning, like, explain how much time will it actually take you, I believe it's easier for them to realize if the project is good for them and the time it's actually fitting their necessities. Y si quieres sacarlo de Maya, mm, pues sí sería por partes. O podrías, por ejemplo, digamos que lo tienes todo hecho ya por partes. Le puedes dar en Subtool, Merge Visible, y eso te va a hacer como un merge de todas las piezas, como este. Por ejemplo, este ya está casi todo unido. Es un solo mesh. Y ese ya le das export y es el que puedes exportar a Maya. No, XYZ, like C of ZBrush. Let me. Um, like this. Yeah, you're welcome. It's really easy to create alphas in ZBrush. I mean, if you want to create an alpha, I actually recommend, instead of using a cube, to use a plane, 3D plane, like this one. But I mean, besides that, it's a good option. It's not entirely necessary to create your own alphas, but I believe it's really useful to have your own library of meshes. And I have no idea what it. Yep, you're welcome. Ah, de nada, bro. So I think I'm gonna leave it like this. Mm. Yeah, let me see if I can actually add some detail. At least a little bit of it. It's already a little late. Morph target. So yeah, I'm gonna save this morph target and the good thing of this is that actually, since I have the morph target, I don't have to do like this with a lot of care. You can actually just play with it and add all those details without caring a lot of screwing up. And using morph target, you're able to delete the excess of detail. I'm not certain of it. I think I'm gonna keep it without all those details. I prefer a lot of, I don't know, since it doesn't have a lot of small details everywhere, I prefer to keep it clean. ¿Y cuánto tiempo notaste que ya estabas mejorando? Pues es algo gradual, creo. Creo que a partir de que... mm, creo que la mejor forma fue regresar a modelos anteriores y darme cuenta que sí había una mejoría. Porque de otra forma no me di cuenta que estaba mejorando ya. Esa sería mi forma de darme cuenta de que sí hubo una mejoría. Yeah, so Daniel was asking me when do I notice that I was getting like when I was improving my anatomy skills and my sculpting skills, and I was telling him that maybe the easiest way to notice that was going back to older models, to older sculptures that I did, and realizing that they look like garbage compared to the recent ones. So that's like the best way to see that I was actually improving. Ah, Germán, muchas gracias. Sí, la verdad es que eso de los alfas son súper útiles para esto. Y justamente tener como tu propia librería, que mejor que tú la hiciste, pues súper útil. So I think I'm going to call it done, to be honest. I'm not certain if I'm going to add all those small details. It's a little late already, and I haven't been able to concentrate that much. I'm a little tired. Sorry about that. Even my English is starting to be super crappy. But I think it's really decent. I mean, for what I had before of this. It's looking way better. Ah, thanks, Alex. Yeah, I'm a big fan of adding like those small details, but it doesn't always have to be like that. Una pregunta. ¿Este modelo se puede hacer retopología para animar? Sí, bastante compleja. Sí, se podría hacer la retopo, la verdad es que sí sería bastante pesadita, pero sí es una opción, definitivamente. So, yep, I think I'm gonna leave it like this. Yo creo que la voy a dejar hasta aquí, la verdad es que ahora sí me costó un poco de trabajo el final. Iba a ser como un stream rápido, pero creo que otra vez fallé y me dejé llevar. So, my idea was supposed to be like a quick stream tonight, but again, I failed and I got carried away as always. So I think I better call it done before I keep streaming all the night. So I think the model is quite decent. I mean, I'm a big fan of adding small details everywhere, but I believe for this creature right now, it works perfectly the amount of detail that I created. So far, I'm gonna leave it like here. I'm gonna speak with Jose to see if we shall start into a new creature or character. We have to decide that yet, or if we are going to continue into this one, maybe texturize it and I don't know. But yeah, gracias a todos los que estuvieron aquí en el stream. Am, Cualquier cosa, pues aquí están abajo mis redes. Muchas gracias, Marun. El próximo jueves, no este jueves, el jueves 29 voy a estar de vuelta ya en horario normal. Um, I'm gonna be streaming next, not this week's Thursday until next one. It's gonna be my next stream. So that stream, sorry, it's actually gonna be a hard surface with some ray topology. So that's the idea behind it. And have a good night, everyone. Miguel, ¿cómo pone diferentes materiales? Ah, okay. Miguel is asking how did I actually assign different materials to different parts. So, para ponerse los materiales, por ejemplo, ahorita todos los materiales tienen el mismo, ¿no? Por ejemplo, todas las partes tienen el mismo material, ¿no? Por ejemplo, si elijo este, todos tienen el mismo material. Pero si elijo los ojos y voy a Color y le pongo Fill Object, va a ponerle el material solo a los ojos. De hecho, tengo que tener seleccionado mRGB, porque si pongo RGB, lo único que va a pintar va a ser el color, va a ser blanco. Pero mRGB incluye material. Entonces le doy mRGB, Color, Fill Object, y eso le va a poner el material dorado al resto del cuerpo. Entonces puedo cambiar y ya le asigno el material. So the idea behind this to add a different material to different parts of the mesh. It's to select a part, a subtool, then going to, well, you have to select mRGB, going to color, fill object, and that will actually assign the material and the color to that subtool. So that's the idea behind how I can actually add different materials to different parts of the mesh. Hey Loops, thanks again. Thanks for signing by. Um, Glad you enjoyed the stream. Sorry, my English is already failing. I'm really tired tonight. Alex, thanks a lot. Thanks, mate. Va, gracias, Marun. Gracias, Miguel. De hecho, Germán, el próximo stream, el del jueves 29, va a ser en español. Pero pues usualmente como entra gente española en inglés, o sea, este principalmente va a ser en inglés, fue en inglés, pero el siguiente iba a ser en español completamente. Salvo que entre gente de habla inglesa, entonces partes serán en inglés, pero principalmente va a ser en español el próximo jueves. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. ¿Dónde puedes descargar más materiales? En la página de Pixelogic. En Pixelogic debe tener como su parte de descargas y ahí puedes descargar. Es la única forma donde yo conozco que es, bueno, donde yo he descargado materiales. Sale, pues que descansen. Have a good